Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 83 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is Michael Kennedy. Michael is the host of Talk Python to Me and Python Bytes podcasts, the founder of Talk Python Training, and a Python Software Foundation Fellow. He's been working professionally in the software development space for roughly 20 years. So Michael, can I ask you to expand on that brief introduction and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, Phil, and hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on your show. So I didn't start out as a software developer. I started out as somebody trying to do something sciencey. And I was actually working on my PhD in math. And I discovered programming later. And it really connected with me. It's just, when you find the place you're meant to be, that you're like, wow, this is what I love to do, and the people doing this, these are my people. Like that was me with programming, and that was 20 years ago. And every day I'm just a little more excited than I was the day before about it. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic industry to be in, isn't it?
It really is. It never gets old because it's always changing.
Absolutely, because it's always new.
That's right. Sometimes that's a drag. Like if you get tired of continuously learning, you want to just kick back and say, I've done my 4 years in college and I just want to, reap the benefits of that 4 years of work. Well, you should stay away from IT and software development. But if you are always excited and always curious, like it's a fantastic place to be.
Yeah. Michael, can you maybe share a unique career tip with the IT Career Energizer audience, one they need to know and perhaps don't?
Yeah, there's a couple of things here. I think one tip that's probably not all that unique, but is worth repeating, is small things add up. We often underestimate what we can accomplish in a week. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a week, but we massively underestimate what we can do in a couple of years. If you just continue to make little bits of progress in your career, learning a programming language, learning design patterns, just getting better at your craft, right?
Yeah.
But I think the main point, the main unique thing that I think many people, it hasn't quite dawned on them fully, or if it has, the consequences of that haven't dawned on them fully, and that's there are no longer gatekeepers.
Yes.
There may be gatekeepers, but they no longer have the power that they used to. It used to be, do you want to be a programmer? Okay, go get a job at IBM. Or you go get a job at Oracle, or something like that, right? You find the great big place that controls this industry and your fate, and you ask it to accept you. And with cloud computing, online learning, small startups, solopreneurs, all sorts of stuff, you no longer have to ask permission to be part of this and excel and be a leader. You just have to want it, and you have to make those small steps every day towards it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the opportunity is there, and it's up to the individual to take the opportunity.
Yeah. And just, the structures that used to be in place and how we're told we're supposed to go through our education, like there's still value to that, and there's still somewhat of that structure there, but the gatekeepers are not the ones handing out the opportunity anymore. And once you realize that, it just opens up so many things you can do with your career that you thought, well, that's not me, or I'm not good enough for that, or whatever, right? Like if you decide you are, then you probably are, if you're willing to put in the work.
So Michael, can you maybe take us to your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Sure. It's hard for me to pick. On one hand, I don't have some really, really terrible IT moments for the most part, although maybe one that's a little more personal.
Right.
But I have some that are kind of crazy examples of failure. One I'll tell you about. I was working on a project for DARPA, which is the sort of advanced research agency in the United States for the government. They do interesting stuff that sometimes supports the military, but sometimes just more general research. And I was working at a company that had a contract there. We were working on this project, And I was the lead developer. We built all this really interesting technology to integrate with all these other large companies. And I probably shouldn't name them, but anyway, the ultimate research had to be done at like a super secret site. So you had to have like a clearance or at least be a US citizen because this was done in the US. And that's relevant because my partner on this project was a guy who was from the UK, and he had just moved to the US like a year ago, and he was higher up in the company. So he went to oversee this research project, this integration project. Well, I get a call from him. I'm in Southern California. He's up in Seattle. I get a call from him. He says, "Hey, Michael, the software's not working." I'm like, "Oh boy, this is bad news." Tons of people and companies have all come together, and like our stuff is right at the center, and it's not working. And I say, "Okay, well, tell me what's wrong. What's going on?" He goes, "I don't really know. They won't let me in the room." I'm like, "Why won't they let you in the room? Like, don't they want it to work?" Like, "Yeah, but it's like this secret room and you have to be a US citizen with clearance, and I'm neither of those things. So they won't let me in the room." And so what had happened was there was somebody in the room who would yell around the corner, who would speak to him, who would then tell me over the phone what is going wrong with the software. And we're just, super stressed, really high stress, because so many people are like just stopped and looking at, him directly and me, sort of conceptually. And it was this weird game of like this sort of phone game. I tell you this, they tell you that, and then like, what's the message at the end? Imagine debugging software like that.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Absolutely. So, what was your?
So that was probably the weirdest case of failure I've ever experienced. But we did end up getting it working, actually.
Right. So, did you learn anything particularly from that experience?
I guess maybe testing. Right? You should test a little bit better.
Yeah.
We thought we had it tested well enough, but of course the challenge was you bring real people and real systems together. It's hard to simulate that stuff, and just maybe think ahead a little bit. Right? Like we should have realized that we should send a technical person that could actually physically be near the thing we're trying to work with.
Yeah. So taking or sort of moving away from your worst IT career moment, can you maybe tell us about your career highlight or greatest success?
Sure. I have two highlights for you. Start with the older one first. I guess for a long time, I was a software developer solving technical problems. I would go to work, go to my office, sit sometimes at open space, sometimes not an open space sort of office. And I'd sit down and I'd get some requirements and I'd build some software. And I just loved that for a long time. But eventually I got to the point where I thought, even though technology is changing fast, I'm like, there's so many other things to learn and I'm just not getting an opportunity to do that. And I'd really like to explore that more. And so I guess the early days' biggest success was becoming a software instructor and trainer and making my way from a developer to somebody who could teach and mentor many other developers. And that really, changed the trajectory of my career. So I became an instructor with Developmentor, and I, traveled the world and taught classes to all these people in company that I kind of thought were way more advanced and skilled and whatever than I was. But I got the chance to, learn and perfect my craft and really teach a bunch of people. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
The other one sort of as a knock on is like, following that 10 years down the road is starting the podcast, starting the training company, kicking off the whole training company on Kickstarter, and just doing that for myself and not some other company, back to my gatekeeper comment.
Yes. Yeah. And that's been a success, I presume.
It's a super success. So for 3 years, my job has been to be a podcaster and someone who writes courses. Like this morning, I was recording courses for the next couple things that are coming out. And it's just, I get to pursue what I love. If I find something interesting and people should learn about it, I'll create a course or I'll do a podcast episode. And it's like being a constant student. I'm the first student, the first listener for everyone who does this, right? I get the front row seat basically to what I share with everyone.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you probably have some similar experiences here, right?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Yeah, I haven't done anything beyond the podcast itself, but there may be things to come.
Oh, beautiful.
So what excites you about the future of the IT industry and careers in IT?
Well, I think every day there's more opportunity every day I wake up and just go, look at all this new stuff. It's even more amazing than it was yesterday. And if you're willing to pursue it and keep learning, then, it seems like it's just never going to get old. And there's always places to grow and challenge yourself. And I think, speaking to the newer folks coming into IT, the amount of resources available to help you do that right now, they're just crazy.
Yeah.
Right. There's so much available. There's online courses. I know you've had some folks who had taken boot camps and completely changed their careers. Right. It's not like, you get a book and you hope you can figure it out, or you get a 4-year degree. The ability to get into the industry is really amazing. And the opportunities, I think, are pretty interesting because so much stuff is new. You don't have to do it for 20 years to be an expert. You could do, like, say, if you want to become an expert in React or some aspect of asynchronous Python and web frameworks, right? There's all that stuff is brand new. There are no super experts. You know what I mean? So if you're willing to really dive in, that's pretty awesome.
Yes, you can almost become the expert in almost anything you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to move into the reveal round now. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
Well, like I said, I thought I was going to be a mathematician, and I studied that. And I think the thing, like math and programming, they're actually quite similar in some ways. The thing that really made me change into programming in IT is you get to build things. You don't have just these theories and you debate them. You build a thing, and if you want to know whether it works, you push the button, and either the turtle shoots around the screen, like you said, or it just doesn't, right? And it's very concrete and clear, and it's a wonderful sort of open space to be creative, but it has this grounded reality of, yeah, look, the website works. Look, the stuff's in the database. Yeah, the game is running the character down the screen, right? Things like that. And just that aspect of it really made me want to change from what I was doing to over into programming and IT.
Right. And what is the best career advice you've ever received?
I didn't really get much guidance or much help. And that's because basically when I was in grad school, I was studying for math, and then I decided I liked programming better. And so I more or less taught myself programming. I got a bunch of books. I worked really hard. I wrote some programs. I worked on research projects that let me do programming as part of them, things like that. So, I wish I had gotten more advice.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that many programmers. I knew a bunch of scientists and mathematicians, and I was better at programming than them. So what were they going to tell me, right? But I guess, looking back, I've spoken to other people and had these types of conversations. And some of the really best advice is to just take action. So often in programming and stuff, you'll debate, well, should I learn Python or should I learn JavaScript? Should I use this web framework or should I that? And people seem to get all tied up just trying to decide what the right path is. That's kind of like the paradox of choice.
Yep.
Opposite side of all this stuff's new, right?
Absolutely.
So the advice is take action. Just like, even if you go the wrong way, you'll learn enough that you'll actually learn more about what the right way is. If that's in architecture or in a language or whatever, just don't spend too much time waiting. Just get some knowledge and just go, and then you'll figure out as you're going.
If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
I would have been more selective about where the jobs were, where the energy was, where the growth was. I just found something that I thought was interesting. Oh, the C++ and this 3D graphic stuff looks interesting, and it's kind of what I need for now. So let me just go learn that, and I'll just go down that path. If I had been a little more strategic, I would have said, well, what are the popular things I should learn, and where are the jobs, and what kinds of jobs do I want? Let me learn that skill. So I would sort of poke my head up, go over to the Stack Overflow surveys and the job boards like Indeed and other job companies. They have surveys where the demand and mismatches and things like that. Probably would have done that. I mean, everything came out great, but it could have been a little easier if I just, planned a little.
Yes. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
Well, I'm really focused on trying to inspire and inform developers.
Yep.
So the fundamental goal of my podcasts are to make people aware of new things that they should be interested in, tell the human stories behind them and get people excited to learn more about it. And then on the other side, I'm creating these courses to actually let people who are inspired and interested in topics around Python go learn them and actually be practical. Some of the very best things I've heard is, people will come up to me and they'll say, I've been working with your stuff for 6 months. I listened to your podcast. I took a course or two. I now have a job in software development where I was formerly some other thing. And that's just so rewarding. Yes. And I just want to do more of that for more people.
Sure. No, that's a great outcome, isn't it? And great to hear from people who've taken it on board and done something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate the people who've done that. And it's great that I can help them do that somehow.
Yeah. What's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
I would say the number one non-technical thing I've done is I forced myself to learn public speaking and get good at it. And it was not something I ever looked forward to. I remember in college, one of the courses I most did not want to take was communications and public speaking. I just don't want anything to do with that. Let me go back to my, quantum mechanics textbook, something I can handle, right?
Yep.
But eventually, when I just wanted to start to share what I was doing and communicate better and mostly connect with people who are also super inspired around stuff like that. So I forced myself to start submitting talks to things like user groups and meetups and conferences. And, eventually that becomes comfortable. And once you have that skill, that's just a whole nother angle that most technical people don't have. And it really opens up doors for you because it puts you out in the public spotlight.
Yeah, very much so, yes.
Or you even create a podcast. You never know.
Exactly, yes. Michael, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a sucker for quotes and things like that. So I'll share a quote with you. This one really struck home for me. And it goes, if you don't build your dreams, someone else will hire you to build theirs. So, every day think about where you want to put your energy and really what you want. And maybe that part of those, is I'm going to get this job at, say, Google and work there for 5 years so I get the experience so then I could create this thing that I actually want to create, right? It's not, drop out of college and go create a startup, something silly. But keep in mind, we don't have that much time on life. And we have to, if you don't follow the way you want to go, you're not going to get there. So that's what I would say.
And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
Well, you can listen to the various podcasts. You can listen to Talk Python to Me if you like deep stories focused on a single topic, usually around Python, but often other areas as well, like the Large Hadron Collider or Inside Netflix, technology, things like that.
Yep.
Or you can listen to Python Bytes, which is a weekly news, think of it as an audio form of a newsletter, basically. You check out the online courses at training.talkpython.fm. And of course, I'm probably the social media place where I'm actually participating. And, there often is on Twitter where I'm at mkennedy.
Great. Michael, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you, Phil.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening in to today's episode and to my guest career tips, advice, and experiences. You'll find a show notes page for today's episode on the IT Career Energizer website, which will be itcareerenergizer.com/e and then the number of today's episode. And a quick reminder that the show has now 3 episodes every week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So make sure that you are subscribed to the show to get new episodes automatically downloaded. Also, don't forget to join the IT Career Energizer community Facebook group. You'll get to engage with other like-minded people, get to find out more about upcoming guests and other episodes, and can get involved in the future direction of the podcast. It really is a great pleasure to be able to talk to so many inspirational people from across the industry and to be able to share their stories and advice with you. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.